first team honors, just what your reaction to that?
Anytime you have guys that are respected around the league and receive certain accolades, it says a lot about them. It says a lot about their teammates. The work they've put in, I'm happy for that. I'm really excited for them to. It means something. It means something to each and every one of these guys, and we've had a long list of guys, being on the first team, second team, third team, players of the year, I'm happy and hope we can get more guys motivated as the tournament comes on to make the all-tournament team this next weekend.
Are you surprised that Juan didn't at least get third team or anything?
I am to an extent. I really am. I really hope he uses this as motivation come tournament time. He probably doesn't get enough credit for being a defender the defender that he is. And from a production standpoint, he had a lot of double doubles, and had a really good stretch of time when we were struggling. I thought he was really good in Sunbelt play for a good stretch of time and pretty consistent. So hopefully he uses this and really goes on a tear come tournament time.
That's worked before for some of your guys. You talked to him about it at all?
Yeah, it really has. I'll tell you, I think we will. We haven't talked yet, but we will talk about it. It really worked for AJ. He really wanted to go out and do some special things, and I'll go back to when I played. I played with a guy named Eric Murdoch, and he was not preseason Big East Player of the Year and not on the first team, and he went out to be Big East Player of the Year with a guy named who's the other guy from Syracuse? I lost it, but Billy Owens. Him and Billy Owens were co-players of the year, and you could just see in his face when the news came out that he wasn't on one of those teams, and he wasn't so-called respected as much as he thought he should have been, that he really wanted to prove people wrong, and he hoped that's the case with Juan. And I'm disappointed that either Serge or Pet didn't get Player of the Year. Can't convince me pound for pound, inch for inch, that those guys don't deserve that accolade, but once again, that's not taking anything away from Solomon Bozeman. He had a great year. Head-to-head matchup, we happened to do pretty good against him in particular, thanks to Juan. And but that's something to move forward on.
Look ahead to this week. They ended the season on a down note against Middle, but how has the team rebounded, and how are they doing right now? How are they feeling, and what's the mood, and what's practice been like?
Mood is good. 2 excellent practices. A lot of focus. We've tried to key in on 2 things: play hard, play smart. We're going to be in every ball game, and one at a time. Got to take care of just this week of preparation and cutting out some of the mental mistakes we've been making to get us beat. Also talking about what's been good to us. When we've been aggressive, when we have played team basketball, when we've played good team defense, we've been really tough to beat, and using our athleticism to our advantage the way we need to. But playing hard and physical and playing smart, 2 big keys for the week with preparation, and obviously going into tournament play, just really taking advantage of what's right in front of you. Understanding, playing the now, take advantage of every minute you have, could be your last. If we play with that type of mindset, we're going to be tough. And that's what we're trying to get to this week.
I asked Pet the same thing, but is it more of an approach of, hey, let's not play, or like we did at MTSU, or are you guys trying to draw on some positives, or kind of anything kind of going into the tournament? You know what I mean? Is it?
To me, the positives are the consistency in practice. We watched tape of Monday's practice yesterday. We really came back and went at each other, and I was happy of the response after the Middle game. And our group is tough to read sometimes. They have been resilient all year in terms of how they come back and work. And but then you'll have a setback here and there that you're kind of thrown off balance, and you can't have that come tournament play. We're going to lean a lot on the experience of the guys that have been in this kind of situation. There's not a ton of them, so those guys have to really lend themselves and understand the sense of urgency. And I know that's going to happen. Now we need some other guys to step up. Guard play has to be there, has to be solid, and decisions have to be made. Good decisions have to be made, and we got to be organized. We can't be unorganized in terms of huddles and, you know, everybody on the same page defensively what we're in, everybody offensively knowing what we're in, and then it gets down to execution.
So much has been made of, you know, having to win 4 games in 4 days. How confident are you that this team is capable of doing that?
You know, I'm confident that we finished the year on a positive note where we were playing harder and playing with a lot more teamwork down the stretch much more consistently. Did we do it every night out? No. Did most teams do it every night out? You know, you'd have to ask each coach. But I'm happy that we are finishing pretty strong. So that gives you a chance. You know, how confident can we win 4 in 4 days? I don't put it in those terms. I just can't. And come tournament time, I think momentum can build up. At the end of the season, you can see a little bit of momentum shifting in our favor where we're playing good basketball. In the tournament, it works even. It has more of a snowball effect because the game is one after the other. Adrenaline kicks in. You start to see things within reach. I think the 4 games in 4 days stuff, you know, leave that for the analysts. You know, after the fact, could they have done it? And, you know, last year we ran into on our 3rd game, ran into a team that just made you really expend energy in the game. And that caught up to us. We had a lead against Troy, but it caught up to us. Now, it's a different Troy team this year than last year. You know, this is a different scenario with who you're playing. Last year, we happened to run into a team with a lot of veterans that ran a style that made you work and run around the court the whole possession. Tough to guard with 4 guards. So that was that particular instance. If you get to the 4th game, I don't care who you are. You're going to play hard. I don't care who you are. You're going to play hard. You're going to play on adrenaline. There's going to be a lot of things. We got to worry about 1 game.
Do you worry at all about depth, just with your numbers? You know, obviously you haven't really only playing 6, 7 guys.
I think I worry about foul trouble more than depth, to be honest. So I guess they're tied in. But I worry about whether the bench is going to be consistent. And they've shown flashes where they've really helped. I think some other guys that are coming off the bench now, people are starting to scout a little bit more. A guy like Tang, you know, guys are playing more minutes, so other teams are figuring out just how to attack them, both on the offensive and defensive end. So we have to make adjustments in regards to that. But depth, I'm not concerned about. We can't control that.
You talked about how it was tough to get a read on the guys this year, which is probably the case for most teams, I would imagine. Is it one of those things where with this week, when you say, you know, play it like it's your last, because it literally could be, is it one of those things where you kind of have to wait and see until game time that if they're getting it or not, or is it something you can maybe tell in practice, or you got to wait till lights come on?
Well, the only thing I can gauge it off, and I've said this before, is practice. You know, how we're preparing, the mental focus going into this week, and then you hope if you have a good week that carries over to your first game. Like I said, we'll talk a lot about this the next few days. Execution, play hard, play smart, and as we get closer to the game, then it becomes, we don't need to be tight, we need to play aggressive still, but we do have to understand, you got to work the game. Don't get too down about the game, how it's going. It's going to have ups and downs. Manage the game, and the teams that do that and don't beat themselves that much in the tournament play will advance, and we'll talk a lot about that.
You try to go back at any point in the year where, you know, I think you won. When you won, you guys were 0-4 in the league, you won 4 straight, included at Florida Atlantic, I think at FIU, where you guys were able to reel off a string of victories where you guys might have been playing some of your best ball. Will you try to look back at that point of the year or any other time when things worked well and said, okay, how can we imitate that this time around?
Yeah, what we do is, what's important to me is teamwork this time of year, both sides of the ball. You know, the defensive teamwork, are we really helping each other on defense? Are we scrambling? Are we in position? Are we making sure we're fighting hard on drives? Are we blocking out? Those types of things. Teamwork kind of plays. and then hustle plays. I think it comes down to, that's one of those games, in a close game, who wants it more is usually the team's going to come out on top. And we'll watch tape on a lot of those. We'll watch our own, teams multiple times of the year, facing adversity, making hustle plays, teamwork plays, and those toughness kinds of plays that you really can't put a value on. They're just very, very important to victory.
Do you sense that this group's feeling maybe a lot of pressure on themselves to do something this week, or is it something where knowing not a lot of folks probably expected of them, so to kind of maybe surprise them, or is that something they don't even really get into?
I think we always, you're trying to, as coaches, you overanalyze things, and we're conscious of it. I want the mental state. I know tournament play, and I know the mental state's a very important part of it. We can't get too down about the last time out, but we can learn from it, and that's the big thing. And the sense of urgency at this point in the year is just really important. We've got 3 seniors. We've got some other guys that have been in a tournament. They all have to lend themselves, and we have to collectively as a group just understand. We don't have to play perfect, but we do have to have a great sense of urgency, and we got to go out and make it happen. Once again, I think the times we've struggled, we haven't gone out and made it happen with some of the habits that we've shown, that we've developed, and some of the confidence and some of the swagger that we've actually gotten better with. We can't revert back to, hey, games are physical, we're not getting calls, we can't put our heads down. And I think that's the biggest thing come tournament play, because you can't rebound from it. Against Middle, you have a bad game, you can rebound from it. You can come out in the tournament and play well and advance and do good things. At this point in the year, you can't rebound from it. So just want the guys to play with great passion and finish strong.
You mentioned the swagger thing for a minute. So many times here going into this tournament at this place, it's been Western has been expected to win, and even last year to agree with the run you guys had.
Yes.
Is it a different feeling this year? Because I would imagine there's probably a lot of people, in the game, outside of the game, whatever, that probably think you guys are dead and buried. I mean, does it feel different at all?
I think it's motivation. I think the best team I've had here, no one picked us to do anything. 2 years ago, people thought it was going to be a down year. We lost Courtney Lee and Brazelton and Ty Rogers, and people had the attitude of, hey, we'll just kind of be out there watching you guys, but we know you're not going to be any good. And that team developed a personality, us against the world kind of personality. And if we can bottle that up, some of that personality for this tournament, knowing the struggles we've been through, and knowing we've gone out and played some of the best teams in the country, if we bottle that up and able to put it together in a weekend, it could be a great weekend for us. It could be a lot of fun. Now, there's a lot of teams in the tournament that can win the tournament this year. You say that every year, but I mean, there's 8+ teams that could play. North Texas is not playing good basketball, but if you just a fan looking at stats and looking at last year, who's back from last year, they've got experience. This is a new season for a lot of people, and I want to treat it the same way and bottle up all the things and frustrations from the year, and make it a positive.
You kind of hit on it. I mean, Pat Forty even said earlier this week, the Sun Belt tournament might be the most wide open of the entire championship week. Given some of the struggles that you've had this year, do you kind of go in saying, look, it's a free for all, and it's just whoever wants it the most is going to be able to take it?
Okay, Pat Forty is a writer. Pat Forty. He's the authority on the Sun Belt tournament.
Apparently.
Has he ever been to a Sun Belt game?
I've been there.
What's that?
I guess no.
Not anyone up in it. I've been in
I've never seen it.
2 years.
Okay. What was your question?
You kind of touched on it, but it seems like you're taking that approach that it's literally a free-for-all for anyone to jump up and grab it, that there's no real clear-cut runaway favorite.
I think that's the way a lot of teams will approach it. I think the tournaments, all the tournaments I've been a part of, there's always a couple teams that jump out. Last year Denver smacks Middle Tennessee, and Middle has got 3 all-conference players, and they think they're going to advance. Denver all of a sudden they're up, 15-20, 10 minutes into the game, you have to be ready for teams to